My mother turned out to be an alcoholic. She was around, but she wasn't here, if you know what I mean.
So you left your mother at what age?
Probably 14 and a half. I lived with my grandfather, and he used to say to me, "What in the hell are you sitting around the house for? Get the hell out and find something to do." And the only thing I can say is, I don't know why, but God saved me, let me come through. But whenever I first went in, I was a little past 17. I went to the probation office in Johnstown, and I told them I needed someone to sign for me to get into the service. I met a man, well, it was Harry Truman. He was the president, and he talked me into going over to the Air Force from the Army. I was in Walter Reed Hospital having my appendix removed, and he came and he said to me, "Young man, what are you doing?" I said, "I don't know, I'm in the Army." He says, "Well, why in the hell don't you go to the Air Force?" And I said, that sounds good. And when I got out of the hospital and we finished basic training, my orders was they sent me down to Texas to an air school to learn to fly. And I got down there, and they said, "How did you get here?" And I said, "I was just assigned here." And they said, "Well, how do you know a Harry Truman?" And smart-mouthed kid, I said, "Oh, you mean Uncle Harry?" Of course, I lied. And from then on, I received very, very good treatment in the service. I went from Texas after I finished basic flight, which I flunked the first time, and they put me in the second time because of Uncle Harry. And then they moved me up to Nellis for heavier flying, and that flew a Bell P-59, which was one of their very, very early jets. And then we were stationed at Kwajalein, which is an island of Japan. We flew from Kwajalein to Korea to do the dirty work.
The communist attack is powerful. The defeat of South Korea seems assured, except that the United States is committed to aid in their defense. Air power is our only weapon, ready to immediately stem the flow of enemy troops.
I was up by Pyongyang, and I got out over a bay there, and I kept trying to hit the eject and kept trying it, and it wouldn't go. And I hit it one last time, and it blowed me out of the plane, and I landed in the sea, and that's where they picked me up. And they beat the hell out of me. They took all my personal stuff, even took my flight suit. I figured they was going to kill me, is what I thought was going to happen. Then I went into a concentration camp, and I was in there for, well, it seemed like a lifetime, but it was close to a year and a half. And then we were, you have to excuse me. We were in a prison camp, and we were being handled by the North Koreans. They beat us with bamboos, maybe a rifle, but you never knew what you was going to get.
We know that the cost of freedom is high, but we are determined to preserve our freedom no matter what the cost.
A day in the concentration camp, well, was a day, am I going to live? That's all there was. And what can I find to eat? You know how much rice is in your hand? That's about what we got twice a day. Did you ever eat a caterpillar, a nightcrawler? Anything to eat? Crickets, grasshoppers, well, whatever you could find. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. If you had to take a crap, you squatted and crapped. There was no buildings, no camp. And so sometimes you didn't sleep at night because they was after you. And we would be in this area for a day or two, and then they'd march us to another area. They just kept moving us all over the place. That's all we did was walk, walk, walk. And we was marched into what we called a rice bowl. It was a concave in the mountains where they built rice paddies down through, and they moved us all in there as a bunch. And they set us down, and they told us they was going to feed us. And they backed trucks in, and there was a great big Indian man, the Hindu man from India. He was sitting beside me, and he says, "Little fella," he says, "you see that hole over there?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, when all hell breaks loose, you run like a son of a gun and get in that hole." And he says, "Get in that hole and keep going, because I'm going to be behind you, and there'll probably be somebody else behind us." And they backed the trucks in, and they had machine guns. And they were starting to machine gun all of us prisoners. And I took off for the hole, got out the other side, and this big Indian, he grabbed me by the arm, and he says, "If you can't run, I'll carry you," and we took off. And of course, quite a few others had made it too. The majority of them did not make it. We made it back to a British unit, which was there. And then, of course, they transferred us back. And whenever I got to Japan, I weighed 68 pounds. And whenever that happened, I was around 20, 22, somewhere in that area. It's those things you like to forget. These was on my uniform. There's the Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Prisoner of War Medal, and don't ask me how I got that fourth one. That's good conduct. I have no idea how I got that. And then these two are Korean, and then that star on that is one battle star. I was probably 64 years old, and they called me and said they wanted someone to be an instructor with the National Guard unit, and I said, "Go to hell." I said I had enough.